So the way to get out of that, to push through this barrier, is what Doug calls the concept of revisiting your dream. That is, how do you reconnect with that childhood energy and enthusiasm, that purpose that you had, and the sense of experience that made it so joyful and happy for you, as opposed to just thinking about the results. So the goal of revisiting the dream is to get out of the duty cycle, to get back into a choiceful mindset, and paradoxically, by not paying so much attention to results, by focusing more on feel or experience, one can actually enhance your external measurements. So when you think about external measures, is it money, is it fame, is it power? Doug says, afterward you want to do it again, which is a feel-based definition of success. So, for example, Doug interviewed a number of heart surgeons, and in one case, a fellow had a patient die on the table in the morning. He had another procedure scheduled in the afternoon, and he was depressed, and Doug helped him manage this process by asking him what seemed at the time like sort of stupid, wishy-washy, touchy-feely, irrelevant questions, like, why did you become a heart surgeon? And he said, well, I thought maybe I could make some money. I was good with my hands. Okay. Why did you go into med school? Well, I did well at organic chemistry. I went into pre-med. I thought it was a good thing. And he said, okay, so why did you go into pre-med? Keep pushing him further and further back, until at one point this particular individual got quiet and said, well, actually, when I was 6 years old, in the middle of the night, there was a commotion in the house. And I remember, I can see it like a video, running down the hallway in my full-length pajamas. And I came to the living room, and my grandfather was lying on the floor. My father was leaning over him, trying to revive him. My mother was crying on the telephone. And while I stood there, he died. And he said, I felt so helpless that, truth be known, that's when I first had this determination, this vow, that I was going to do everything I could to not let that happen again. So he went on from that early childhood experience to become a heart surgeon. Now, we could compare that with Howard Schultz's experience early in life at age 7. So go back to the life story exercise and the work we did there to uncover those life's lessons that you had in your life. Well, in this surgeon's life, he had that experience, and so Doug said at that point, okay, come with me, please, and we'll go down to your patient who is scheduled for this afternoon and talk to them. So he went down to talk to the patient and said, what do you want to accomplish after the surgery if it goes well? Very invasive, difficult surgery. And this one man said, well, I'd like to go swimming with my grandkids. People say different things. I want to fly my plane again, or I want to go bike riding, or I want to mow the lawn again. So Doug taught this surgeon to, ask what their dreams were. And then the surgeon got in the habit of asking the patient, well, if things go well, I'd like you to give me a photograph, send me a photograph after surgery so I can sort of share in this success with you. I can share. And now that I have clarity in mind of what you want to accomplish, I'm going to do everything I can to help you make that happen. Technologically, medically, with our team together, 10 or 11 people in the room, trying to make this happen. And I want you, sir, to do everything you can spiritually, emotionally, physically, to fight for that outcome as well. So after surgery then, these patients would begin sending in photos, and the surgeon would begin collecting these so that it became that he could learn how to do this himself. He didn't need a consultant, a performance counselor like Doug, to guide him, but he began to self-manage this process and collect these photographs, which then he could, when he felt depressed or low energy, he could pull them out and think about how these people had been helped to realize their dreams by his work, and that he found to be re-energizing and re-inspiring. Now, this gentleman came and spoke in my class, and he said, you know, time management is really a red herring. Life is really about energy management. I noticed, he said, from my office to the operating room, I have two possible routes. I can take the direct route, which is faster. It goes down a back hallway. There are naked light bulbs, electric wires hanging, cardboard boxes stacked up, cobwebs, dust bunnies. It's not a very pretty route, but it's fast. And I notice, he said, think about self-awareness in our earlier discussion. I notice when I get to the operating room, my energy level is down 5%, his words. If I take the longer route, it's more circuitous. There's a brass rail, a carpeted hallway. It goes around a balcony overlooking the lobby of the hospital. I can see people coming and going. There's a grand piano, maybe someone's playing. There are trees in the lobby and plants, and I can feel the heartthrob of the hospital. I notice when I get to the operating room, to the OR, my energy level is up 5%. So, he said, instead of taking the short route, I take the long route. Now, think about how many business decisions are made in that way. Usually the business decision is cheapest, fastest way, how are we going to do it? With no attention paid to the experience of the employees, the experience of the customers, the Japanese haircut or not, as we've described earlier, for the people involved in the situation. But this heart surgeon, because he's self-aware and he's observing his own experiential level, he's paying attention to plus or minus 5-10% in his energy level and managing his life so that when he goes in and puts his hands inside that man's chest, he is operating at the highest possible energy level he can. I told my wife, if I ever have a heart event, that's the guy I want to operate on me. I don't want a polar bear who's going into that operating room thinking, oh my gosh, what do I have to do today? I got to do the 3,000th cardiac bypass graft. I don't want that guy operating on me. I'd rather have someone like this physician who's got his energy level in front of him and he's managing it so that he can perform at his absolute